that malt. And one other thing I want you guys to look for, now this is a very scientific step, so I want you to be careful. Just put a couple fingers behind the glass, and then looking at your fingers through your Boston Lager, I just want you to wiggle your fingers. Now some of you might like this more than others. This is just to prove that if I give you free beer, you'll do anything I say. There's kind of an educational purpose behind this, in that your Boston Lager is a fully filtered beer. So you should be able to see your fingers directly on the other side. It should be transparent. You shouldn't get cloudiness or haziness in that beer. There shouldn't be any fingers in your beer, okay? Now,
not yet.
That's because when you filter the beer completely, you're going to remove some of the proteins that give it that cloudiness. Whereas a wheat beers are never going to be fully filtered. And that's because you want to leave those wheat proteins in there. That's going to give it that particular wheat flavor. So when you get something like our winter lager that has a little bit of wheat in it, and that's the next beer we're going to give you guys, you'll notice it has a little bit of haze to it. And that's because we leave that in there. However, if you get that Boston Lager fully filtered, you never want to see that. And that's your first sign that maybe you're not drinking a very fresh beer. Now, the number one reason why you're going to get a hazy Boston Lager out in the market is if it's getting poured through dirty draft lines. Those draft lines can travel up to 150 feet to where the kegs are in some refrigerator somewhere. So we need to make sure those draft lines are clean. We do everything we can to make sure our accounts do that. They clean their lines at a bare minimum of once every other week. Here at the brewery, we do it once a week, so we never have problems with draft line cleanliness. But there are some options for you guys. If you find a hazy Boston Lager out there, I recommend you don't drink it. Maybe try to return it. And if you're here in Boston, there's a very simple thing for you guys to do. Just go next door to the next bar. Now, the second step of the appraisal process is going to be the aromatic appraisal for Boston Lager. So if you have some rum, maybe give it a little swirl like this, producing some carbonation. Bring that Boston Lager up to your nose and just give it a smell. Maybe cup it a little bit. Now don't snort the beer, that is dangerous. Burns. Now, can you guys tell me what ingredient are you smelling off that top of the Boston Lager?
Hops.
Hops. Yes, you guys are good. You guys are listening. Yeah, those Hallertau middle fruit hops, those German-born hops that give you that really strong citrusy grapefruit aroma, is exactly what you're going to smell. Now, I didn't hear the most common incorrect answer to this question, which is beer. There's usually some local Boston kids who've been in the store 50 times go, beer! Beer is not an ingredient in beer, okay? If it was, it would be a much shorter tour. It would go something like, welcome to Samuel, my name is Kale, you're put the beer in the beer, so we're doing some beer. Now, my favorite answer to this question of all time, I like to tell all my groups this, it actually came from an 8-year-old. He was just sitting there next to his dad, he smelled his dad's beer, and kind of at that time in life where you have no filter for what you say, he just said, kind of smells like my dad. The whole crowd reacted just like you guys did. Everyone laughed except for his dad. His dad just sat there nodding with pride. That's my son. Now, the third step of the appraisal process is going to be the very first tasting step. But you're actually not going to be looking for flavor. You're going to be looking for body of that beer. So that means that the body actually comes directly from the malted barley, and the body is really, how hefty is it? Is this a very heavy beer? Is it a light beer? The Boston Lager, despite the fact that it is a fully flavored beer, someone's very excited, despite the fact that it is a fully flavored beer, it does have a medium body. It shouldn't be so heavy that you can't go and have another one, but also shouldn't be so light that you feel like you're drinking a glass of water. So have a sip, and as it crosses your palate, you're going to notice that medium body. Cheers. Now, the fourth step, this is actually going to be the tasting step. There are two primary flavors you're looking for, so two separate sips. On the very first sip, focus on the very front of your tongue. That's where most people are going to taste the sweetness that comes from that malted barley. So notice that sweetness in the front of your tongue. Cheers. And then one more sip. That sweetness, especially with the Boston Lager that has so much hops in it, that sweetness is very, very fleeting. It goes away really fast as it's replaced by the second flavor, which is that bitterness from the hops you get in the very back of your tongue. So have one more sip and focus on the back of your tongue for that bitterness from the hops. And the genius behind that bitterness in the back of your tongue is that it's going to dry out your palate, which makes you want to go back in and have another sip. So. Now, there is a fifth step to this process. Even though our glass is right there, you're going to notice that on the back of your tasting glasses, one of the first 4 steps will be etched there. The fifth will not. That's because we kind of consider it an unofficial step. Now here at Sam Adams, we call this the overall appraisal of your beer. And when we do a tasting here, because like I said, we are the research branch of the entire company, we're going to be doing a lot of tastings here, which makes this a very good job. We sit in the back room pretty much every single day, Monday through Friday. And for quality assurance purposes, we're going to taste test all the beer before it goes out to you guys. We call this taste panel. Now a taste panel, you can imagine, after a long tasting, a lot of high-fiving going around, a lot of emotions being shared. Usually someone cries. But we get through it for you guys, so you're welcome. Now we're not going to go through that in here, just too much intensity, too much emotion going around, so I'm just going to ask you guys a few overall questions, pretty easy questions. First of all, was this anyone's first Boston Lager ever? Wow. What'd you think?
What? It's good.
It's good. What'd you think?
Great.
I hate beer.
That was the correct answer. That was the correct answer.
Beer.
That probably won't make our next commercial. Sam Adams Boston Lager. I hate beer. But thanks for sharing. Now, that's a good opportunity to lie. Now,
I drink enough for the both of us.
Again, not something to be proud of all the time. Now, is anyone in here, is this your first Boston Lager of the day?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know.
It's 11 a.m.
So now, does everyone want another style of Sam Adams beer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now the next one that we're going to hand out to you guys, this one I got behind me right here is our current seasonal. We call this one the Winter Lager. Now the Winter Lager is what we call a wheat bock. Now does anyone here know what bock means in German? Dark.
I do.
Bock means goat.
Male goat. It's a male goat.
Male goat. And I think that the name they came up with they called it bock because bocks use more malted barley. As a result, you get more sugar in the beer, and that means more sugar for the yeast to ferment, which ultimately means more alcohol. It's a little bit stronger, so it gives you a little bit of kick. So, goat, male goat. That's where they came up with the name bock. Now, so like I said, a lot more malt in this beer. It's going to be more sweet than it is bitter. And also, this beer has a little bit of wheat in it, which makes it a wheat bock, and that's going to give you that particular wheat flavor. And we also use 3 other ingredients. We use cinnamon, and we're going to use ginger and some orange peel in there as well. So you're going to get a little citrus note in addition to those spices. Now, you don't have to wait for me to go through a full appraisal. You guys are all professionals now. You're probably appraising this one on your own. So I'll hand it out. You guys start tasting it, and I'll tell you guys about the Utopias. Here you go.
Thank you. Alcoholic beers. Spashed. You may drink like a pro, but you don't pour like one. Ladies first.
Oh, that's so funny. It's heavy, right?
Yeah,
She was getting a head start.
No, it's pretty.